So now, Rob, the team back home delivered the latest CS300 aircraft to airBaltic, and we'll have many more to deliver. And now, can you kind of give us the highlights of the CS300 that we will be delivering to airBaltic?
Great, thanks, Natalie. So first of all, I want to thank Martin and the team for bringing the CS300 here to Paris. So it's great to be here. We're also very proud. A couple of things I would say is, of course, we developed the C-Series with a certain vision in mind for the cabin. You know, it is unrivaled in the industry in terms of what it offers in terms of cabin comfort, the width of the seats, large spins and windows, and you'll have a chance, of course, to visit aircraft later and experience it for yourself. I have to say that the Baltic team really had the same vision as we had at Bombardier, and so great ambassador for us. They did a phenomenal job of configuring and selecting their interior, and you know, they really showcase all the great features that we envision. So it's really nice to be here, and thanks again, Martin.
Thank you.
So the CS300 aircraft entered service on December 14, 2016, and I was one of the lucky person that was able to attend that memorable event and also fly on the CS300 as one of the first passengers. And Rob, you were there. It was a great event, and some of you were there too, and I'm sure that you would agree that it was a great event. So the year 2016 was a great year for Bombardier. Not only we put the CS300 in service, but we also put the CS100 in service back in July during the week of the Farnborough Airshow. So to give you a highlight and an overview of the amazing year that we had with the entry into service of both aircraft variants, I'd like to turn your attention to the next video. What a journey, right? I remember Rob last year we were saying, we cannot wait to see the CS300 proudly boasting the colors of airBaltic in the sky. So I'd have to admit that the green and blue colors of airBaltic in the skies are the most beautiful ones, right? So the entry into service of the CS100, CS300 seems like it was like so far away, but it's been less than a year for the CS100, and I'd say 6 months for the CS300 since December. So I've heard that, actually we've heard that the entry into service of the CS300 went very well, that everything was really smooth. And so what are your thoughts?
Actually, we have the 5th aircraft, which you can see outside here. And we take it from Mirabel in Canada, fly it to Riga direct. And the aircraft is given to us in a status which enabled us to put the aircraft 4 hours after the landing coming from the factory into revenue service. So we did that. It's not a problem, and I think that is pretty impressive. Yeah? Not a day, not 2 days. We just took 4 hours and the aircraft went with normal paying passengers into scheduled service. And that's actually what we bought it for. We wanted a workhorse. We work it very hard, the aircraft. We fly long sectors, short sectors. We are not easy on it, and very happy to have an aircraft which is so easy to use now.
That's great. So very impressive. Lately, I'll just go back there. So with the aircraft in service, we know that you'll be opening at least 13 new routes. And Abu Dhabi was announced back in February.
Yeah, we are able to fly new routes now with the CS300, which we couldn't fly before because of the range. We were flying Boeing Classics, or still flying them. And one of the decisions also to go for the CS300 was that we want to fly our Riga Abu Dhabi route, which is the longest sector, which we open in October. We flew already to Abu Dhabi with the state's president on an official visit, so the aircraft has seen it, and it worked, of course, very well. The 13 new routes, we are growing airBaltic, and this is what we did this year, but we plan to open each year a couple of new routes now, with all these C-series coming in. Unfortunately, only today we have 5 of them. I would love to have already all 20, but we're working very hard to get even more this year.
17 flight hours a day. So, Rob, what are your thoughts? I'm sure you're really proud.
Yeah, really proud, of course. To be honest, that was always the strategy that we communicated, was that we would really test the aircraft extensively before it went in service, make sure it was mature. And it's great to see that it's actually delivering above our expectations. Honestly, for a totally new aircraft in service, to do 9 or 10 legs a day and some aircraft up to 17 hours, this is actual flying time, is for me very rewarding to see that. And I have to say, Martin, I have to congratulate your team, because this hasn't come without effort, of course. They have a great team and they're doing a really good job, so great to have you as our launch operator for the CS300. Thank you.
Thank you, and I give that back to our flight operations senior vice president and one of the captains which takes these aircraft here from Montreal. He's over there, and a lot of that work which we do in airBaltic is down to the team in flight operations, cabin crew, and I'm really happy that we can deliver things like 17 flight hours in a day just having the 5th aircraft in the fleet. So it is also for me very impressive to see this, and I have to say we're very proud of this.
So that's amazing there. Feedback, right? So feedback from your ops team, feedback from your passengers, what it's been like. Because we've been following stories, posts on social media, and it's pretty much overwhelming positive. That's how we describe it.
Yeah, I'm flying on it as I'm commuting a lot, and when I'm lucky, I'm on the CS300. And getting onto the aircraft is still each time. Last Friday, again, I flew Riga Munich. You hear it, the passengers entering the aircraft, they say something which is different than when they entered our other aircraft. And the funny one was I was sitting in row 3 or 4, and a couple behind me, the typical husband-wife conversation, he was explaining what kind of aircraft this is, not really getting it right because it was so new. But he explained a lot of details to her, I wanted to stand up and say, listen, this is all not true what you're telling, but the good one was when we taking off, so that he got it right, that it was the takeoff. He explained it to her, and then he really said in German, he said, this is amazing, you hardly can hear it. And actually that's the feedback we get from passengers. They write to us. We also get it from our crews. On top of that, the cabin crew, and we have them here, they would report to you they feel better because the aircraft gives a different cabin pressure, gives a different feeling, especially if you long, as the cabin crew is much longer on the plane per day than the passengers. But that's the feedback coming from the passengers. The feeling on the aircraft is different. Getting onto it, of course, is new, and all the new stuff is always nice, but this aircraft makes you feel better when you fly on it.
So passengers love the C-Series cabin, the CS300 cabin, well, the airBaltic cabin, right? So today our audience will get the chance to experience the CS300 passenger experience. You know, have a glimpse of the overall airBaltic brand and mood lighting. And we've heard a fun story about the mood lighting that Rob shared with us. And I thought that you would also find pretty amusing.
Yeah, so as you know, Martin has a very strong focus on his brand. And so he was the first actual customer to select the mood lighting. And I have to tell you, during the process, the mood wasn't always that good because we weren't really giving Martin what he wanted. So the mood lighting system came originally with 9 different scenarios of lighting. So Martin said, no, I don't like it. I want infinite. So I'm looking, infinite, that's a lot, you know? So I'm happy to say we delivered it actually with over 100 scenarios available, and we're working to improve it. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. And it's great to have a partner like Martin who has a vision and a brand and drives us to get better. So thank you, Martin.
Thank you, and I still say that we should have more colors on it.
So now let me ask you, I hope that's your favorite feature of the C-Series cabin. Is it? Because Rob worked really hard to get those 100 scenarios.
When I'm in a bad mood, that mood light system can bring my mood up again. But the biggest feature for me as a really heavy frequent traveler on different aircraft is the space of the overhead bins. Because what we see in the day-to-day operation, different to our Boeings, the speed of boarding the aircraft just increases naturally because you have so much more space in the overhead bins. So me personally, always traveling with 2 bags, I'm very happy with that because it really speeds up the process. Though that's my next to the lavatory, of course, which I like since we ordered the aircraft. It's the overhead bins which I enjoy the most.
The lavatory, because it's spacious.
Yeah, there's a story about it. I was a bit nervous in 2012 at the Farnborough Airshow when we announced the order of the CS300, and I was asked by the media, so like today, what was the reasons for choosing this aircraft over Boeing and Airbus? And of course there was lots of reasons, but the only thing I came up with was I liked the lavatories so much. It was just one thing I liked, but that was then what the media wrote about the aircraft. Now, having the aircraft with 2 lavatories there, I have to say I really like them. They're big. They have produced what they said they're going to produce, and it's the aircraft is overall exceeding, and I said that again and again in the past, it's exceeding our expectations, it's exceeding the passengers' expectations, and that's why we're looking at maybe ordering more. So that is, I think, the best proof for an aircraft when you have it half a year in the service that your company and your passengers give you the feedback. That's the right choice. And then our ambitions for the future growth consider this aircraft as a replacement for other aircraft, I think, is a proof that also we, from a financial and calculation side, are very happy with it.
Great. And how about you, Rob? Any special features, your favorite thing about the cabin?
I would say I'm probably not very objective. You know, I like the whole aircraft. I'm really proud of the whole team, and you know, it takes a lot of work, and it's very rewarding to be here. And Martin, you know, you can always order more aircraft, so let us know.
Yeah, we can't do this here, but we can do it. You want? Shall we do it now?
Bring a table and signing docs. Right. Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you, Martin. I will now open the floors for questions. So you're welcome to ask your questions. I'm sure you have many. So we have Annabelle and Simon with the rowing mics. First question?
Come on, don't be shy. Ask questions.
Hello, I'm José Suárez from En el Aire, Mexico. And two questions. I'd like to know if we can expect to see a C-Series soon in Latin America. And I'd also like to know how is this aircraft compared? They say they used to have classic Boeings. So this aircraft stops competing with the regional market and is aiming for a new market for Bombardier? Thank you.
Yes, I understand there's two questions. When can we see the aircraft in South America, Latin America? To be honest, it's a great aircraft, very suitable, has excellent hot and high performance, has a range that is very suitable to really serve that market. There is, I'd say, a lot of discussions, and we see real opportunities for the C-Series in Latin America. Your second question was regarding?
Regarding if it's a new market for Bombardier, they're stopping to be regional, but competing with middle of the market aircraft like 737.
Sure, so I'll be clear. So the C-Series was designed for the market segment between 100 and 150 seats. And that's how the aircrafts were optimized. That's the market we're competing in. It is a new market segment for us. Honestly, it's designed in this segment which Boeing and Airbus really don't have products that are optimized for this segment. And so really we're the only all-new aircraft in the segment. So really we see that as the market opportunity for us there. And we are the market leader on the regional side. So we have, of course, the Q series and the CRJ series that have sold over 1,900 aircraft on the CRJ side. So very strong market for us.
Thank you. One more question? Yes, just behind you.
Hello, Richard Schuurman, Dutch magazine Piloot en Vliegtuig. When will you order new aircraft, and what is the moment you have to decide to do it or not?
We have today 12 Q400 aircraft on a lease, and these need to be replaced. And we are discussing now, is there a possibility to replace them with C-Series CS100/300. So let's see when we come to a decision point. Yeah? We can't do it now. He didn't say yes, so we need to wait.
Hi, Dennis Steinberger, airBaltic Aviation News from Germany. Mr. Gauss, could you share some insight about your short-term delivery targets for the CS300 and whether your delivery schedule is affected by Pratt delays, and if so, to which extent? Thank you.
Yes, of course it was affected because this is the 5th aircraft and we wanted to have I think 2 more by now, but we are not affected anymore for the rest of this year. So we get another 2 aircraft in July and 1 in October. That is then for this year completing 8 aircraft which we operate. That was the plan, and next year we're going to have another 8 and then the last 2 from the current order coming in 2019.
Andreas Spee, German aviation journalist. I was lucky enough to fly on the delivery flight from Montreal to Stockholm in December, but I was about to ask about long-haul operations of the C-Series. You're going to Abu Dhabi soon, and I wonder if there's any weight penalty on this kind of leg, and Bombardier, what's the average, or what is the market, the long-haul markets would see the C-Series flying, so up to which range would the C-Series be able to fly non-stop? How many flight hours, or how many nautical kilometers? Can you give us an idea if there's any prospect by any operator to do that other than airBaltic, to go to Abu Dhabi from Riga?
Yeah, I hope nobody else goes from Abu Dhabi to Riga. So that's hopefully only us, because we are the only ones having the CS300. The CS300 goes unrestricted to Abu Dhabi from Riga, so and back. So that is clear. We do not have currently any other routes of that length which we plan to do, and I think Rob, you can say more about maybe a CS100 doing longer range flights.
Yeah, so two points. So the CS300 can fly unrestricted for 3,300 nautical miles. It's approximately a 6.5 hour flight. And the 100, we did a record. We flew out of London City, so a very restrictive airport. And it's the only aircraft that can fly the transcon flight non-stop. So we did that record flight back in May, and we went, actually it was back in March, yeah. And so again, that's of interest for certain customers. Yeah, so the aircraft has the capability, and of course, as we see the performance in service that's demonstrated, we have more and more interest to use that capability of the aircraft.
Thank you. Another question?
Hi, Peter Uidenberg, interior consultant. You talked about 17 hours of flying per day. Question to both of you. You make a spacious cabin. You talked about the availability of luggage space. Can you tell me something about maybe reducing turnaround times of the C-Series compared to other aircraft in the same size?
Not yet. We are a 737 operator by definition for many years, and all the 737 operators or the Airbus operators optimize and optimize and optimize until today. We do the same on the C-Series. We can turn it around in the same time, but after half a year of operation, there's a lot of room which comes with your operational excellence, and each aircraft coming in more crews trained, more knowledge which you can only get if you have an operation, a day-to-day operation. I don't see any issue turning around that aircraft as fast as any other aircraft, but we try to optimize, and I think together with the experience of the other operators, we will get this aircraft to be good for very short turnarounds, but also good for long flights and short turnarounds, which our Abu Dhabi will be.
Thank you.
Yeah, so from the aircraft side, we actually designed the capability for a 20-minute turnaround. So that actually dimensioned some of the systems, the brakes in particular. We have seen turnaround times in service, below 30 minutes, 26, 27 minutes. So, of course, take some learning to really get it down to less than that. But the aircraft with a wider cabin, with the space on board, the extra bins, and the way we did all the systems that you can simultaneously service all the service points without any competition, we believe ultimately we'll be able to get down to a very competitive number. Good question, thank you.
There's a question over here.
Michael Gubers from Flight Global. A question to Marcus. What were your main learnings during your first 6 months of operation? And perhaps can you give some figures also how your reliability of the aircraft has developed, whether there was any improvement or whether it was high in the beginning? That would be good, thank you.
The aircraft started very well, and I would still call it a start because we're in the first year of operation. We have a target line to get to a regularity and performance of the aircraft which is predefined. We are currently on that target or ahead of it. The positive feedback coming from flight operations was more and more pilots and cabin crew being trained on the aircraft. You get a lot of feedback that this aircraft is very comfortable to work in, and you can ask our cabin crew over there later when you see them on the aircraft how they like it. But also our pilots are here and they will tell you that it is a different working environment. So that is probably a surprise, because when you saw how complex and modern that aircraft was when it was developed, then to see how fast an organization can adapt to this new technology and then take benefits from it by feeling less fatigue, and that's mainly on the flight crew side. But we are still on in the process of getting to the operational targets which are defined, and we have given ourselves 1 year from the start in December when we got the aircraft before we are there. Of course, on a daily basis, like the 17 hours, we are exceeding it by far, but we will take the time to have a perfect operation within 1 year.
And then were there any main learnings?
There's learnings every day, which are not learnings airBaltic has. It's learnings we all operators, Swiss and us and Bombardier, have together. And we are sharing all these. The aircraft is equipped with a lot of high sophisticated system which give you any kind of data. We have this flight monitoring system which has a new name now. I don't know what the name is.
Flight Link.
Flight Link, yeah.
Yes.
I forgot that from the briefing. So Flight Link And this system tells us while the aircraft flies every detail and enables us to learn while the aircraft is still in the air. So that is something new to us, and it helps a lot to prepare already while the aircraft is in the air, everybody on the ground, of what you could do next.
So since you said you forget that about the briefing, we had a news release published yesterday about the flight link, and I'll make sure to print one and I'll give you one if you want to.
Thank you.
All right, do we have another question?
For Rob, a question: do you expect any commercial announcements here at the Airshow in Le Bourget for the C Series at all?
I don't know, Martin, what do you think?
Well, let's go for dinner tonight.
Actually, we have some deals that are progressing, and we'll see if they get to the right spot for both parties, so stay tuned.
Another question? You're sure this is your only chance? No, for sure you'll have a little bit more chance to ask questions to Martin and Rob. So ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our program. I would now, in a few moments, invite you to follow the airBaltic crew that will proudly showcase the CS300 aircraft. They'll do a demonstration of the mood lighting, the infinite scenarios, right? So you'll get a chance to visit the aircraft.